Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to welcome you for these 3 lessons on innovation. These 3 lessons on innovation will help you to understand what innovation is, to have the same knowledge, to have the shared knowledge about innovation, and also to understand to you, to explain to you, to help you to understand how could we use a process, an innovation process management. And inside this one, we will talk about emergence of idea. Then it's important also to understand and to think about organization to innovate. In other words, for these 3 lessons, we will have 3 parts. The first part will be why the necessity of innovation, the second, innovation process management, and the third, organization to innovate. Are you okay with that? Ready to start? Let's move on. First lesson, why the necessity of innovation. The purpose for these 10 minutes is just to understand why we need to innovate. Maybe you have an idea why we need to innovate. No? Actually, there is just one answer, just one good answer. The answer is we need innovation to survive. We need innovation to survive because you need to change according to your environment. Let me explain to you. Innovation comes from the Latin word innovare. In means inside, novare means change. You change something inside something, you change something inside someone. For instance, some of you, some of us, we have wisdom teeth. Because a few centuries ago, that was, we can say, compulsory to have it just in order to survive, to eat any roots, to eat any some meat, and so on. That was compulsory, but it's not the case anymore. So today, we have to adapt our body without the wisdom teeth in order to survive. So that's why we can eat many other things around us just in order to survive. You change our body, we change in ourselves, we change our body according to your environment, how it changes itself, just in order to survive. That's exactly the case for organization. Inside the organization, you need to change your organization. You need to change through a new product, a new service, a new process, a new organization, a new commercialization, just in order to survive. Because of what? Because of the competitors around you, because of new competitors around you, or because of the new regulation, or because of new environment. You need all the time to change yourself in order to survive. That's the case for a body, that's the case for a company, that's the case for a public institution as well. We should innovate all the time if we want to survive. That's basically the first approach and the first understanding of innovation. The first, would say, guy who wrote something about innovation clearly, that was David Ricardo. Before David Ricardo, we can quote Adam Smith, what we call it the father of capitalist system. David Ricardo wrote a bit about innovation, but he wrote essentially about advantage, competitive advantage that you can get. The first guy is Joseph Schumpeter. He's the guy who actually defined perfectly, completely the terminology, the word of innovation in economic sector. That was in 1942 with his book, The Theory of Economic Development. And his definition was, but still today it's relevant, is this one. Innovation is the industrial exploitation of invention and their dissemination, which give them their economic importance. This sentence is crucial and very important. Innovation is an industrial exploitation. It means what? It's not a prototype. It's not a mock-up. It's something that you can industrialize many times, many times. Industrial exploitation of invention. It means that you need invention or you need idea. And this idea, you have to industrialize them in order to call it an innovation. But it's not enough. And their dissemination. So it's not just for one person, but it should be for a certain number of people, a massive, which give them their economic importance. And that point is very crucial. Without economic importance, we cannot call it an innovation. You can just call it an invention. I will explain to you later on. In the theory of economic development, Joseph Schumpeter explained that we have 5 types of innovation: product or service, process, business model, source of supply, mergers and investment. But today we use 4 categories. It's quite similar. The first one is a product or service, the process, commercialization and organization. That's basically the global overview of definition of innovation through the Latin word, but essentially through Schumpeter. Schumpeter explained that innovation is the fundamental impulse that sets and maintains the capitalist system in motion through a creative destruction process. It means what? It means that more capitalist environment you will have, more innovation you have to develop. In this world, in this actual world, in the current world, we are in a capitalist system. And these systems, in this globalization, we have to understand we have more competitors. And with more competitors, you have to innovate more than ever. You don't have any protection. Now there is absolutely no barrier, no boundaries. It means that you should innovate. As we can see, on the slide, there is any waves, the different waves, the Kondratiev waves. And each time when you have a crisis, a financial or economic crisis, you have some grapes of innovation. So you can have water power, the steel, you can have electricity, aviations, petrochemical, digital network, and so on. What you have to notice on this slide. So first, creation and destruction comes together. You have a crisis, a destruction, but you have creation by grapes in the meantime. The second thing that, as you can see, the different waves shrinked from 1785 until now. The waves shrinked more and more. For what kind of reason? Just because of the globalization. Today, if you want to launch your iPhone 7 or your iPhone 8 in New York, you can do it the same exact day in Beijing, in Paris, or all over the world. That's just your decision to do. So it means what? There is no barrier, there is more globalization of the market, and then you have more and more concentration of the time and of the geographical aspect. With many competitors, with the globalization of the market, you have more competitors, your environment changes a lot, you need just to adapt yourself. And to adapt yourself, you have to change, innovare, you have to change inside yourself in order to survive. That's the purpose of innovation. Schumpeter explained that a new approach doesn't come from a traditional actor, but along with it, and competes against it until it ruins it. That's also a description of creative destruction, and it's very important. Let me give you an example. In November 2004, the price for a medallion in New York, the price, the license to drive if you prefer, that the cost was about $250,000. But in November, 6 years after, the price rise a lot, growth is very important, and then the price for the same medallion was about $1,250,000. But what's happened? A few weeks after, November 12, 10,000 Uber drivers went into New York, and then the price, the cost of each medallion just decreased to reach the same price than 10 years before. It's a destruction of a price, a destruction of the cost, the destruction of the value of the medallions of the taxi driver. In the meantime, you have a new company just raised with Uber That's what we call it, the creation and the destruction together in the same time. It's important to notice that in different sectors. I will give you another example, the pharmacist. Today, the pharmacist, a traditional distribution, retailing for pills, drugs. Today, to deliver the pills, to deliver the drugs, you can use the post. That's the case, for instance, in Singapore. Singapore Post can deliver to you pills and drugs, as well as you can have it in France, for instance, with La Poste. They can deliver for you with the service Porteo, deliver for you the pills at home. Who wants to control your health? More and more companies like Apple. Think about it. In your iPhone, you have Apple Health to give all of your data about your health. Who wants to improve and to help you to improve your health? Many apps like Nike Plus, like Runastic, and so on. And think about the different places right now to buy any pills. You can buy it online, you can buy it in a supermarket. And on top of that, think about Amazon. Now you can be delivered by Amazon thanks to their drone. Let me think about it. 10 years ago, just one way to deliver pills and drugs, pharmacist. Today, Post, Apple, Nike, cold storage, Amazon, and so on. No one is a pharmacist. It's just a destruction of the traditional actor, as Schumpeter mentioned, and new actors create something. Another example that I really like, it's about education. Today, education is disrupted by many new actors, and no one is professor, no one is a traditional education sector. Anthony Falk, Khan Academy, Coursera, École 42, all of them are very new, and they disrupt the traditional actors in education. It's very important. You can think about Avis, disrupted by Drivey, Accor by Airbnb, Barnes & Nobles by Amazon, Taxi by Uber, or Netflix disrupt the traditional theater movie. Today, the destruction and the creations shows us that innovation is crucial for big corporations. This notion should help us to understand the difference between invention and innovation. Just a question for you. Who is the first inventor of the MP3 player? The first MP3 player, that was in 1996, an invention from a French guy, Henri Croas, Arcos. The anagram is Arcos. That's an invention, a very brilliant one. But according to Schumpeter, an entrepreneur is not the inventor of a discovery. He is rather the innovators. That's to say, the ones who will introduce this discovery in a company, the industry, the economy. He is at the beginning of the innovation itself. So the first one definitely is a French product, the first MP3 players. But it is just an invention. And we are not looking for an invention at all. We are looking for an innovation, and the innovation comes from US, Apple with iPod. That's the difference that you can see. On one hand, invention, on the other hand, innovation. Think about the definition of Schumpeter I mentioned to you. The economic importance. It means what kind of profit, what kind of benefit I can get thanks to this innovation. If I cannot get any $1 in terms of the profit or benefits, it's just invention, it's just an idea. We can call it a candidate of innovation, but it's not an innovation at all. Another thing that I want to share with you about the definition of innovation is about R&D. Most of the people believe that R&D is innovation, but not at all. For instance, the bigger company who expends a lot in terms of R&D are, for instance, Volkswagen, could be Samsung, could be other companies, as you can see on the list. But we are not looking for R&D. We are not looking for new scientific product. What we are looking for is for innovation. And the first company is Apple. The second, it's Alphabet. It could be Google or 3M, for instance, or Tesla as well. Because R&D is important to find idea, but it doesn't mean that it will be a success. Think about the business case of Apple. The R&D expense of Apple is 3.1% of their revenue. It's half less than competitors in the high-tech industry. So you understood this very important notion of R&D, inventions versus innovation. Another thing I want to share with you for this first lesson is the distinction in disruptive degree. You have your product or you have your services. If you do some slight change, we can call it incremental innovation. For instance, in your mouse on your desk, for instance, maybe some of you still have a mouse with a cable. Cable-less is just incremental innovation. iPhone 4 versus iPhone 3 is incremental innovation. 5 versus 4 is an incremental innovation. 6 versus 5 is just an incremental innovation. The mini iPad is just an incremental innovation versus the iPad. The other step is the radical innovation or disruptive innovation. Usually we use this kind of radical innovation or disruptive one when we have a new technique, new technology inside. And then you have paradigmatical innovation, usually historical, scientific and technical innovation, such as the steam engine, could be internet, maybe the 3D printers and so on. So to conclude, you understood what is innovation. What is innovation? Through Schumpeter definition, through the understanding that you need to change inside yourself in order to survive, in the economic importance. And then the different categories: product, process, commercialization, and organization. And the 3 degree: incremental, radical or disruptive, and paradigmatical innovation. It means that you have at least 12 ways to innovate. The question is, how are you going to use it, and what kind of process are you going to use? Thank you for this first lesson.